the money's in your list and all of that type of thing. But, with the pace of content that is required for most course creators, coaches to create in order to stay present, in order to stay visible, sometimes email falls by the wayside. A lot of times email falls by the wayside. So, I wanted to come in and say from my own experience of creating courses is it's worth the time invested if you focus on not just building your email list, but nurturing them.
Yes.
Particularly around the goal you're solving with the course that you create. And you dropping that was very important. And I think a lot of us missed the ball with that, not realizing that people will continue to purchase from you updates to your course, additions to your course, workbooks you put out that go with the course, new courses. They'll continue to do business with you literally years in the future because you nurtured them properly on an email list. We can't say the same for social media platforms.
No.
Not even a little bit, right?
No.
So it don't matter how many reels and TikToks you make. It's not the same connection. And that's something I learned in my 8 years of doing this work is like the email list, literally, it's like how we used to have the phone books or used to have an address book and you would write down it's personal. So that email is so critical. Once you do the work of creating a course this way, I think one of the things we have to remember is this is real people. That's real people are buying our products. Like real people are buying our IP. And so we just want to make sure that we keep them in mind throughout the whole process. Let me ask you a question. When you were talking about, when you were going into the part about organizing the content, that sticky note method, what would you suggest for someone who is kind of new to that sticky note method, or they get overwhelmed because they can't centralize it around one core problem or one core theme? What's a way to keep yourself in check so you don't get lost 2 months in the sticky note process,
right?
And whittle it down and get to the next step? What would you suggest for that?
Right, absolutely. So the first thing I would say is first you have to try it, because you don't know, if you've never done it before, then you can't say, you know what, I don't know how to do the sticky note method, or it doesn't work for me. So I have found that this has been easier than some other methods. So the easiest way to get started is once you start those brain dumps, kind of just, with a pen or a marker, kind of just, write whatever that initial item is on the brain dump. And it was hard for me in the beginning too, because I'm like, pencil, paper, or I'm like, let me pull up a Google document and just do it that way. But when I started doing the sticky note method, what I like to do is use different color sticky notes for different types of content, right? So if I'm doing a brain dump, so let's say, for instance, let's just use systems. So if I'm doing something on systems, I may have like a one color sticky notes that talks about the different systems that may work, let's say for creating your course or whatever the course platform is. So for example, maybe Thinkific or Teachable or something like that. So I may have a certain color for those systems. The second one would be, what do I need these systems to do? So I may have a different color for that, So I needed to be able to, do I want it to drip the content? Do I want for my students to be able to get all the content at once? And I'll just say, no, I don't. But so what do I want the system to do? And then after that, do I want it to, what are some of the nice to haves? Do I want it to be able to create like maybe certificates of completion, or is that not important to me? So, thinking about the goals and then what you want those things to do. So just play around with that sticky note method, because everybody's sticky note method is going to be different, right? You have to do what's going to be comfortable and easy for you, because if it's complicated, you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be just another thing that's on the list that's not completed, or your to-do list is not completed. So just think about it in terms of, just try it first, see what works for you. If some of the things work for you, and I say keep it in categories, like with the systems example. So what's the systems, here that I'm teaching, what do I want them to do? And, what are some of the benefits, that my students will have, as a result of this.
Yeah, I love how you break it down so simple, where it's like, okay, boom, I can put it in these 4 buckets and I can move right through it. That was, thank you for sharing that. What you said,
Yeah.
if it's not simple, you're not going to do it. That's true for you and your customers. Like
Yeah.
if it's not simple, nobody's doing it. So if you just keep that in mind as you go through this, it's such a satisfying feeling when you get a course done, when you
Yes.
launch it and when it's in the world and you see those first, couple of payments starting to come. It's such a satisfying feeling. So I just
It
want
is.
to encourage anyone who's listening to this to take LaToya's advice, reach out to LaToya, and just figure out how you can get this thing into the world. Let me
Yeah.
ask you, because you mentioned tech a couple of times in
Yes.
regards to what plays well in the sandbox, what things go good together. So what would you suggest, or what would you say is best practices for a new course creator when it comes to their tech stack? What's the easy ones to use together?
So here's what I'll say about that. There are some easy ones to use together, but what I like to do when I'm working with clients, because some of them already have some technology systems and tools in place. So I like to do an audit to kind of see what they're already using, because if you're already using something that's going to work well in the sandbox together, I don't want you to change that, right? Because you're already spending money on that. And another thing that people don't take a look at is how much is it going to take on the back end to launch this course. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But I like to do an audit, a systems audit, to see what you're already using.